just put this in the chat so you guys have, whoops, what did I just do there? So we have quite a few things to talk about today with the start of the year happening just a couple of days ago, which, knock wood and knock everything, was really very, very quiet and smooth for the most part. So really, really proud of all of our schools, our building leaders and staff for getting us going. So what I just put in the chat was the agenda for today. I'm going to put in our minutes from our August meeting. Just label this August so that you guys can begin reviewing, and then we'll call the meeting to order. Oops, I think I reversed them. Yeah, sorry guys. The first one was the minutes for July. The next one were the minutes for August. So I reversed them. So welcome everyone. We'll call the meeting to order. If you can begin by reviewing the minutes, that would be great.
Dr. Mike, just on September, Catherine's name we have to fix.
September.
It's CATHERINE.
Yeah, all of those are going to have to change anyhow, as they're no longer in those positions. So they'll wind up shifting as we get new folks in, but just changed it.
Awesome. Hi, Marissa. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. Good to be back.
So if we can go back to our July minutes, do we have consensus on those July minutes? If we can get a thumbs up. All right, good. We got consensus on July. And were we able to look through August already too? We need a couple more minutes. August is good too? Awesome. All right, guys, welcome back. I'm so excited to see all of you. It's hard to believe already in week 2 of the school year. You know, these things just manage to creep up and start flying by. Well, soon enough, we'll be talking about how did we get to our winter break. It's just unbelievable how these school years just manage to come and go. But really, really excited about getting started this year with our building leaders in our schools. We have a lot to celebrate this year. We saw, a really nice set of outcomes, which you guys will see a little bit more in detail today. And we're going to talk a little bit about what we have planned for the school year. We'll have one little moment today to do a quick little connection before content. You'll hear a lot about that from me this year. Real goal of mine to make sure that we're building those relationships. So I'll spend a few minutes just kind of connecting on one of several options that are there, and you'll see a little bit about what we did with our new teachers this past year. And Gus is going to bring us through a whole bunch of things, including bylaws, and one of them being connecting on who's going to chair this year. As you know, I'm always very willing to do said chairing, but that is an open opportunity for anyone else that would love to do so. But as you know, always willing to do that for the team. But until we get there, I will get started. I will share my screen with my report. Okay, so we'll do a quick little welcome back, share a couple of things with you, show a couple of images, and then we'll bring us right into a connection before content space. So Thursday, September 4th, we welcome nearly 24,000 students back into our schools, including our 2 pre-K centers. Huge shout out, as I mentioned, to our building leaders, our teachers, staff, parents, and students for making the opening a real big success. I mean, I myself had an opportunity to visit a good 10 of our schools over the first 2 days. And I have to tell you, from each one that I was in, you kids are in classrooms already in the space of getting ready to learn. Our teachers getting ready to learn who our kids are. Arrival was very smooth, considering a first day with all of the anxiety that comes, that I know comes from our parents, making sure that our kids are in and ready. And from what I was able to gather and hear from our team members, we had a really nice opening. So big shout out to everyone, you know, for the work that went into making the first couple of days, you know, really smooth. Just a couple of images. We had a lot of things going on. Just posted a couple of them that are here, from our balloon arches to our mascots out and getting ready and getting our kids excited, to one of our schools even bringing in some folks on stilts. You can see the bottom left-hand corner. We had you know, a few characters on stilts walking through, getting kids really pumped and excited for the start of the school year. So you know, the whole connector for me at the beginning of the year is making sure that our kids feel excited about coming to school. And I think our schools really worked hard at making sure that they were able to do that, whether it was through, you know, the mascots out and ready, or doing something a little bit extra, like having our, you know, folks on stilts out there in the morning. So, you know, we got off to a really nice start, and looking forward to keeping it moving as the year goes on. Something that also all of you should know, I've shared this in a number of spaces so far. We've adjusted our vision statement to include something that's come from the CEC, which includes this space of, instead of it from many roots growing as one community, we've adjusted that to saying growing from many roots growing in wellness, kindness, and community, as an outgrowth of our conversation with the CEC. We did create a community Padlet, which we've shared with our parents. We're going to continue to share this. We're going to share it with our kids to get a lot. Oops, hold on one second. I'm getting called on Teams. Hold on one second, guys. Let me just. Unbelievable.
Dr. Mike will be right back.
I don't understand why it does that.
And it's not until after you end the call.
Huh? Yeah, I didn't.
All right.
Sorry for the interruption, guys. Sometimes it happens when I get called on Teams, it knocks me out of the other call for whatever reason. Lewis, is my screen up again? Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. So at any rate, we're going to try to ask for feedback from all our constituents and get as much of it as possible. so that we can make a definition for ourselves around what we really mean by wellness, kindness, community here in District 25. I'm not going to stop us right this moment, but I do ask that you come back to this if you haven't already given feedback, to share some of your thoughts around what you believe each of these components mean for us as a district. And within the next month or so, we'll gather all of that feedback. We're going to take advantage of AI. We're going to run it through AI to share what were the most common things that all of our constituents said, and we'll use it as a means of defining that for our district. We're going to continue to stand by this notion of stronger, really connecting to that space of data analysis to make really good, responsible decisions as district leaders and school leaders and such. And that's going to be the backdrop of our work this year, is making sure that we stay connected with the data that we have, so we make really good choices. But this, you guys know, we've talked a lot about connection before content. And at the start of the year, we met with our new teachers. We have over 100 new teachers in the district. And what we're asking all of our schools to do is engage in connection before content type of activity, so that we get to know one another as adults, and that we're also doing this with kids, and that our kids have an opportunity. And I'm going to share this little video clip. This is something that we did with our new teachers, as I mentioned, and Lewis did a really great job of kind of consolidating it into just a 4-minute clip of what this looks like. And I'm hoping you can see why we have this belief that this is important. So I'm just curious what you guys think. I'm going to share this video really, really quickly. Oops, hold on. I got to share my screen with volume, which I did not do. I always forget to click on that. Sorry, let me just unshare and reshare. Apologies.
All right, so we're going to get started. I'm going to invite Diana from our team on up, and she's going to bring us through the first 2 activities. Listen, I can tell you this, have fun with this first one. I've done this myself, and it really can be very exciting, provided that you get into it. So I encourage you, get into it. Have a little bit of fun with this, all right? Diana, I'm going to turn it over to you.
So our first connection before content is a fan favorite called rock, paper, scissors. Who here knows how to play that? What we are going to do is we are going to be up, moving, traveling, okay? Meeting each other. So eye contact, big thing, starts off any type of a conversation. We're going to be standing up, traveling, make eye contact with your first opponent, okay? We're then going to give a high five, my name is, your name is, and then we are going to engage in a rock, paper, scissors match, okay? We go, rock, paper, scissors, show. So Keith and I will go, rock, paper, scissors, show. Who won? Keith won, okay? So now we're gonna high five, thank you for the game. I am now going to become part of Keith's cheer squad. I'm gonna cheer him on, follow him through as he goes and finds his next lovely opponent. High five. Love it. Who won? And now Keith and I are both part of his cheer squad. Let's go, Dylan. Until we have 2 final opponents with huge cheering squads. And make sure that you know names so that we can be specific when we are cheering for them. Are you ready? Yes. All right. Ready, set, go. Rock, paper, scissors. You have one
There
here.
you are. Way to go.
Ashley has one. Cheer it up for Ashley! Especially just do a quick share out. How did you feel during that activity? Call it out. Excited. Excited, good. What else? Supported. Motivated. Supported, motivated. Connected, right? We got to know names. We got kind of our comfortability out, right? How do you think kids would feel during this game? Or during excited? How many kids do you think never get cheered for? So many, right? Maybe they're not the best at sports or at math or at science. Guess what? Rock, paper, scissors, everybody is good at it. So finding these simple ways to celebrate kids and to give every child a chance to be, cheered for and, clapped for, even just hearing their actual name. Many kids go through a full day in their school buildings and never hear their name. Just be mindful of that. As you think about how to create those connecting opportunities for kids, how can we figure out, oh my gosh, there's so many of them. How can we figure out how to make sure that every child feels connected to our classroom, to us, to each other, hears their name, feels celebrated, right? This is all part of classroom culture. And that starts on your first day, your first minute. How are you going to welcome every child? What are you going to know about every child? Meeting them at the door as they walk in. That's your first opportunity to really get that connection.
So I want to stop right there just for a moment and gather any of your thoughts around why connection before content is something we're going to be layering in throughout all of our meetings, including our own here. I believe it's important. But any comments, any thoughts about what you saw there with Diana running this with our new teachers in context of us as adults, but also for the kids that we get to serve? Yeah, go ahead, Lamar.
So I got a chuckle out of the video because that's fun when I'm there days. I am the rock, paper, scissors judge for K1 and 2. So during recess, we play rock, paper, scissors all day. And that's how we got to know each other because as you know, and as some other folks know, like I'm not there full time 8 to 2:50, but when I'm there, they're all looking at me like, who's he? So that was kind of the icebreaker that we had for the last couple of years. So when I'm doing lunch duty, rock, paper, scissors was the way to, and everyone wins. One. And it's really cool in their eyes when they beat the team.
Oh, I don't know. We might have just lost Lamar. But thank you for that, Lamar. I can't wait for you to come back and hopefully finish that statement. But there he is. Lamar, you back?
Did you cut me off?
Yeah. No,
I
think we lost you there for a second, but we got the gist, Lamar. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
Okay. Thursday.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
popping in and
Am I
out,
there
Lamar.
now? You got me?
Yeah, you're coming in and out.
Okay. And then come back to y'all.
Okay, cool.
That makes sense.
Eden, go ahead.
So I actually threw this in the chat while we were watching it. So the kids at 193 actually used this for field day one day, and watching the excitement of the kids and like having the other kids cheering them on, the kids literally got roped into it. They like really engaged in it, and it's something they do sometimes in gym class also. So they were familiar with it when it came time for field day. But I think with the new teachers, seeing that is really nice because everybody's at different schools and yet they could make these connections at that point with other people to use as resources now as new teachers coming in. So I think that's really
100%.
nice.
Yeah, I love that, Eden. Thank you for sharing that. Rob.
Hey, everybody. A couple things. I think that before you go to a meeting, before a child enters a classroom, before you go to any type of large group setting where it's going to be information given and you're expected to leave, all of your troubles at the door, so you're in a good place to receive the content. Doing something like this is great. I find it to be stress relieving. It kind of gets you out of your head and then you're entering into this fun space, and then we all sit down and with the giggles still in us, and then we start, doing whatever it is we're supposed to be doing. I was trained in the ruler at Yale, by the way, if everybody didn't know. And we did this at Yale, and then we came back, and the first empty building PD that we had, we did this, and we did it in 2 separate classrooms on 2 ends of the school. And then when the winner of each classroom, so it was like people over here and 50 people are chanting the person's name, converging in the middle. It was like the Jets and the Sharks, man. The only thing I would say to Diana was that it's supposed to be rock, paper, scissors, says shoot. So I don't know where she got rock, paper, scissors show. Maybe she want to get the word shoot out of it because,
100%.
I edited that part out. I edited that part out to make it shorter.
No shoot in a school, just show
Right.
in the land of education. So yes.
You're gonna do this. You got to work out is it says, because in where I'm from, it's rock, paper, scissors, says shoot.
Right. So there's no says and it's
Shoot.
show.
Yeah. Okay.
She went through in the full video. She goes through exactly what to say and
Right.
exactly to your point to make sure that everyone's on even ground there. Yeah.
Depends what borough you're from, what town you're from. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea of this, and Eduardo also put into the chat that he loved the idea, the activity, felt it inclusive. It was inclusive for all students. Eduardo, do you want to say more on that?
Oh, no, I just wanted to share that in the chat. Yes, I love the activity. It's inclusive and it's also a great icebreaker.
Yeah, and I think what other part of it that Diana kind of showcases in that is the type of instruction that we're also looking for inside of our classrooms. Very, very explicit. Every individual in that group knew what the expectation was because Diana shared exactly what you needed to do inside of it through that model. So it covers multiple bases in terms of the work that we're trying to get done in District 25. So I do have one small little activity that I'd like us to do just to kind of bring us back into it. And the other part of Connection Before Content is around conversation cards. Something that I'd like all of our schools, as the year is going on, to embed into their practice. How are we making sure that we're creating time and space for our kids to have a quick little chat about something that is not always necessarily an academic area? It's about just getting to know who the person next to you is, to find out that maybe, you have a lot more similarities than you thought, or maybe to celebrate those differences that we have inside of these small little areas. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly, and I'm going to ask each of you just to take a moment to identify one of these questions that you yourself would like to respond to, reflect on it for a minute, and then I'm going to pop you into a small little breakout group for you to have a quick little chat with one of your peers. Again, this is not going to be more than a couple of minutes, and then at the end of it, you'll have an opportunity to share out something that you learned from your partner in a larger group. Right, I'm going to create a bunch of breakout rooms, and we will get started in just a moment. All right, guys, and we're going to just have no longer than 3 minutes in the room. Just a quick little share. Just take turns with one another in your breakout room, and we are going to go. We're going to open up those rooms. All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. Is anyone willing to kind of share out something maybe they heard from a colleague around one of those conversation card uh, entries?
Me and Gus agreed that Thanksgiving's the best one, and everything else is the wrong answer as far as holidays go.
I was
Thanksgiving.
in agreement with you guys, and I wasn't even in your room this year. Usually I'm with you.
That's right.
Yeah,
Ian.
Eden said a very similar thing. It landed in on Thanksgiving, and one of the spaces that Eden had shared that why it's so special for her and her family is that they do take time and space to share out what they're grateful for, which I think is a really, really nice thing, for a family to do. Sometimes we don't take those opportunities to express those key details that mean so much that sometimes we keep inside. So I love that. Anyone else? Quick comment. Yes, Renette.
So I'm gonna share on behalf of Lamar myself so that we could just rip the band-aid off and get off your list. So Lamar, what was special, most important to him is his daughter, and that he's now in reflective mode because she's off to college, and having to go through a special time with her being born and blah blah blah, and then now you're like, she's not here, the process and being grateful for her. So it was really nice to hear. And I told him I'm jealous because I got another 2 years. I want to be an empty nester, and maybe I'll have a reflective moment too. And for mine, it was my birthday, because it's the one day of the whole year I allow myself to be selfish and do Shernette. And because it's a holiday. My birthday is the 26th of December. You're gonna wipe that from your memories. You don't remember it, it's okay. So it's the one day I allow myself to say, no, today's your next day. So yeah, that's it.
And good. Keep it going then, Jeanette.
My whole
Shower
life.
yourself with some fun.
Yes.
So I did share a little bit of a silly one in my group, which is not necessarily, leadership worthy, but I'll share it anyway. Always was a huge fan of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So with the question of if you can be one character, I would be Matthew Broderick in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, because I know right now, as the person that I am, I wouldn't be able to pull off one of those things that he did in that movie. So I always appreciate that film for what the high school mind can do and that he was able to achieve. Mike Dantona can never do it, but would be fun thinking about. That's for sure. Okay, so we're gonna get back into
Mike,
our
actually, I want to
presentation.
add that
Yeah.
my first email ever was Abe Frobman, Sausage King of Chicago. Back in like 1990.
Yes, and if everyone does not know that scene, that is when they are in a restaurant that they should not have been in, and they con their way into being there. So yeah, love that. So quickly going through, just making sure that everyone just a reminder for our core materials that we're using in district. Heggerty Foundations and HMH will continue to be our entry points for our reading program as a district community. Mathematics, as we discussed, is we are moving forward with Amplified Mathematics in grades 6 through 8. We do have about 6 or 7 of our elementary schools that will be piloting it with our upper grades that are departmentalized. Envision still remains the largest elementary school program that we have, and we have 1 or 2 other schools that are using Eureka and iReady this year. Over the next couple of years, we do aim to move beyond that and have one solid program across every school. Social studies, Passport to Social Studies, and Civics for All companion piece still remain our program for social studies, and Amplify Science for science. In terms of assessments, just a reminder, K-2 will still continue to implement Acadience 3 times a year. Similarly for iReady reading for grades 3 to 8, 3 times a year. We will be administering our HMH assessments on a routine. And K to 8 is iReady for mathematics, and for our 8th graders in the integrated algebra, Algebra 1 is the MAP assessment, which will be also administered 3 times a year. Now, why am I sharing that with you? Because we are really getting more dug into MTSS this school year, targeting our kids that are in our lowest 16th percentile, lowest 35th percentile. Our schools are organizing their program so that there are what we are calling win periods built into their day. So on a daily basis, there will be time and opportunity for intervention. And the 3 programs that we've identified for our elementary schools sound sensible, which is really around that phonemic awareness space where those sounds, those letter sounds for our kids, Spire, which is really, bringing that more to the phonics space and building up towards comprehension. And then phonics for reading is really more for our kids in the grades 3 and up, for children that are still having difficulty with decoding, with fluency, with comprehension. For our middle schools, phonics for reading, just words and rewards are the 3 programs that we've identified for intervention for our learners that are currently struggling as readers. And then tier 3 is those programs, but a more intense type of scenario with fewer children that are going to be seen at once. But important for all of you guys to know what that is all about. We do intend to utilize the Acadians reading survey. So when our kids come, after they've completed the initial screener, we will be administering a secondary for those kids that are performing below level in that 16th percentile or lower, so that we know exactly what program we want to put them in moving forward. So this is just as an FYI to all of you that that's going to be our intent. We're also prioritizing this notion of consistency, coherence, and belonging across the district. Our primary focus is going to be around building consistency across our schools. Coherence is really around making sure that we're all engaging in a similar type of reading program, which we are. So for us, it's really about how do we build through this lens of consistency, really building through the foundational skills, the phonemic awareness, the phonics comprehension, with a focus on our Ls and students with IEPs. You'll see in a few moments some of the data that I'm going to ask you guys to review to get a little bit more context as to why we're saying our Ls and students with IEPs. With an intentional look at our knowledge of standards, our knowledge of students, and the knowledge of resources that we have to really support robust practice in our classrooms. So that is the kind of entry point for our work. We're going to stay consistent with explicit instruction. That is not going to change, nor our programs. This year, it's really about deepening our understanding of the program, deepening our understanding of the kids, so that we make really strong decisions to help elevate beyond where we currently are as a district community. Now, after we're done looking at our data, we're going to come back to this slide. I'm going to change things around a little bit so that you can look at our data collectively and then review our district literacy plan to see what it is that we have in there, and does it align with what the data looks like as a district community. So on slides 18 through 29, you will see our district-wide data for from the New York State assessments from last year. What I'm going to ask everyone to do is just take the next 10 minutes. What is it that you're noticing? And what you're going to see here is across grade levels, our performance. The darker blue, the darker shade of blue is for 2025. The lighter shade of blue is 2024. That's for reading. And when you get into mathematics, you'll see the colors have changed. The darker purple is 2025. Similar type of scenario. What are you noticing about performance for each of the grade levels? And it is broken up by all learners, by Hispanic learners. You'll see a little bit of a difference in here for our ELA, where we also included a Never L and Ever L section. I wanted you guys to see what that looks like for District 25 as well, in terms of why we're landing where we're landing. So just take the next 10 minutes. I'm going to put my my clock on for you guys to do an independent review. Anything that you're noticing or wondering and that you want to call out to the larger group. And we'll come back in 10 minutes. I added the presentation to the chat too, guys. So if you like, you could welcome to go right into it. Okay, folks, just take another minute. We're going to come back together. Please make sure you've taken some note around some of the things that you've noticed in regards to each of those slides and what it might mean for us moving forward into planning for this year. Okay, we're going to come back together. Any comments, any things that you want to call out in terms of things that you notice that we can identify as a strength or area that we want to pay more attention to as a group? What is it that you guys notice, some strengths? Yeah, Trinette.
Well, in looking over time across all the different graphs or the different sectors, I am assuming, which we're not supposed to do, that there was some serious intervention done for grade 3 to have them have across the board have such a big bump for 2025. And in that sense, whatever resources or implementations or ways that were done to ramp up the kids for grade 3, because that's the first time they're taking the state exams and all that good stuff, it would make sense that it is clear something happened for that dramatic increase across all the different groups for grade 3. And then you would see it leveling off. And then in grade 7, which is every child's tumultuous year of, that's the year you're taking for high school, you would see whatever the impact or affect created, it leveling off. And then for the Black learners, it dropped dramatically. So I don't know if that was maybe how many kids maybe still enrolled, not enrolled that you're tracking. Did it affect your numbers, especially for a smaller group versus the whole? But you saw the two start with the grade 3 and the grade 7. So it went up for grade 3, which was fantastic because we want to catch them to keep them steady and right the ship. But then grade 7, remember my grade 7 year, the stress and, you got to do well because you're going to get into high school depending on your scores. It may have different factors and has nothing to do with the resources we're putting on the kids to get them ready. And they're like flatlined. So, and then 8th grade, you see a different kind of reaction. So, and then you have to wonder about, are you still counting the same kids for our SWDs, ELLs, and our Black learners? Is it the same group of kids? That could explain the drop in 7th grade. And that would make sense. Remembering my grade 7, and the small population of Black kids that were in my school, a lot of them left. So, it might make a difference in the count that you had in grade 3 versus grade 7.
Yeah, great point. Shanette, the number, what the N is really, really important to determine how many kids that last year to this year, same kids, different kids, very, very important to kind of unpack. We do see that grade 7 remain relatively flat when we're talking about grade level to grade level. So grade 7 this year, grade 7 next year. When we look and compare them from when they were in grade 6, we do see an improvement. So children that were in grade 6 in 2024 to grade 7 in 2025, there's an 8% change in terms of overarching performance. But when it's compared year to year, it looks like it is flat. So I think to Shanette's point, it's about unpacking who the kids are in both of those spaces to make sure that we have a clear accounting of who's who. So I love that. Eden.
So I was looking a lot at the ELA just because I know, like, for me, my kid's both worried about it. My son struggles in it. This was the first year he actually took it. We had kind of opted him out previously. And I definitely noticed that there was like an increase in every grade except for seventh grade, which I know Shernette was just commenting on seventh grade. So that kind of does stand out to me that there, but it wasn't like a drastic drop. It was like a little dip. But I do wonder what caused that little dip for those children in seventh grade when everyone else did seem to kind of jump ahead a little bit.
Yeah, love that. Thank you, Eden. Anyone else say more?
Just something to point out with the third grade. First grade, that is the first grade, I think, unimpacted by COVID coming through our schools. They were not even in pre-K. Or a year before pre-K. So they went to kindergarten. It wasn't hybrid, wasn't split. They received, and we started that year, I believe, with foundations and then Hegarty the following year. They really received a solid experience starting in kindergarten, that third grade, where the fourth grade had their pre-K interrupted. They went to kindergarten hybrid. This grade did not. So it's very hopeful to see things getting back to normal in that sense.
Yeah, I love that, Rob. And you know, there's a couple of things there. One, if you look at grade 3 when we were in 2024, we're at like 51%, which is uncommon for District 25. Usually grade 3 is our highest performing grade level. And not only did we surpass where we had been in grade 3 in previous years, we also wound up bringing our kids back up. So grade 3 from 2024 had an 11% change when that cohort of kids was in fourth grade the following year. So that group that was at 51% went up to 62. So we did see, you know, a pattern of change, which is promising. Even same for fourth to fifth grade, from 57 to 66. So cohort grades is also important to look at, and not just grade to grade. So we did see some progress, and I think, you know, one of the more significant changes that we saw, and I put this little table here just so you can see the subgroup changes. Our Hispanic learners grew by over 9%. Our Black learners grew by just under 9%. Our Ls grew by 4.6, and then our students with IEPs also grew by 7% year over year, which I think is you know, really, really important for us to continue to sustain and build on, right? It creates an opportunity for us to grow as a district. But any other comments that of noticing? Gus, I see you're off mute. I'm not sure if that was because you had something to share or.
Yeah, I may be wrong because I looked at it quickly, but am I wrong, or was there a dip in fifth grade math?
No, you are not. You are not wrong. We did see a little bit of a change, but not, you know, a dip from year over year. So if you're talking about from fourth grade to the fifth grade, there was a cross cohort year.
So that might be something to look at.
Yeah, across cohort year, there was a change from 4 to 5. I think the thing that I noticed particularly in math is grades 5 and 6 are two grades that we have to work on in terms of that transition from one space to the next. Because it seemingly we do have a dip from when they come from fifth grade to where they performed in sixth grade. There does seem to be a change there for our kids. Grade 5 and 6 always typically those two grades that are those transition years that we have to work on more for sure.
And I think I noticed, and it was just interesting, that the general dip in seventh grade was not the same for Ls. Am I right about that? I found that interesting, that the Ls didn't follow the pattern of everybody else.
Are you speaking about it for math or for
No,
reading?
for ELA.
So for reading, yes, the percentages are really, really very low there when we're talking about improvement. But yes, it's unlike what happened in seventh grade in general. but the performance levels there are not high. And what I want to kind of point out to everyone really quickly in the event that you didn't see this, our never L's, those kids that have never been an L in District 25, the average performance is 74% of our kids are on or above grade level. For our kids that are ever L's, that means that they once were an L and no longer are, the average performance is 82% of our kids are on or above grade level. Over 4,400 children in this particular group. So what it says is that when we get our kids to become commanding based on the nicest lat, those children outperform the rest of the district in reading. But then when you look at our current L's, it does not tell, that story. So one of the points of emphasis that we were talking about at the district level is how do we continue to elevate this particular subgroup? Now, it's a very challenging space. We know that, our kids coming in, not speaking the English language, but there are over 3,000 children that take this assessment with only 14% of them currently on or above grade level. When you think about that we're currently 64% of our kids reading on grade level, if we can elevate that space, our kids, our district performance is going to improve significantly. But aside from district performance, it's about making sure that we're accelerating as much as we can to meet the needs of our L's and our students with IEPs. Those are the two subgroups that are being impacted the most. And when we think about these two groups, we have a large number of our L's that are also Hispanic learners, that are also students with IEPs that fit into this same bucket, as well as our Black learners, which is another subgroup that when you see our goals later on, those are our two groups that we're looking to support the most to close some of those gaps and continue to reduce those gaps, which we saw this last year. So it's how do we continue to build and sustain where we were from previous year's performance. But any other comments about the district data? Any other noticings that you came across? I will say I'm really proud of our schools. What you see 5.7%, that includes some schools that are not under my supervision. When you take out the schools that are not in my supervision, we're above 6% improvement as a district community. So we had higher rates of change even among that, but we are still a large district and we have other schools that are embedded in here that become part of me too. So we want to continue to elevate all, but I'm proud of the progress. I think we have done a lot of really smart things here at the district level, and we're going to continue to do that moving forward this year, which brings me to our literacy plan. So in the folder, in our slide deck, you will see this plan that we've laid out for our district, and I'm sharing with you. It's going to go out to our building leaders today. Kind of everything that we just talked about is laid out for us inside of these little parts of growing moving forward as a district community, all of which should not be unfamiliar because we've talked about them already. It's just now putting in written form so that you guys can see it and view it in a more detailed type of way. So I'm going to put this into the chat. Would love for you guys to take a look at it. And for interest of time, we're not going to necessarily spend the duration of time that we've had. I'm going to ask you guys to review it, if you could, between now and our next meeting, so we can kind of make any adjustments that we might want to make or things that are not clear or unclear. And we can make the appropriate adjustments moving forward. But just for a couple of minutes at the very least to get the idea of what's in here, if everyone could just open it up. I do see a handful of us already in the document. If you can hop in just to give it a quick look, to give us some of your initial reactions to what the plan looks like. I will come up to the top and scroll down for those who can't get into it on your own. Let's make sure that everyone, all the DLT members should have access. You'd have to be logged in under the email address that I have. So just for the moment, I will put anyone with the link can get on. So you should be able to refresh your screen and hop in if you weren't able to do so already.
Mike?
Yeah,
Mike,
Gus.
Yeah, just a sidebar, based on a conversation that you and I had, it's worth, I think, mentioning to the DLT, is that your interim assessments were pretty good, right? iReady helped you in terms of predicting how the kids were going to do on the actual state exams. Is that correct?
So yeah, it was in some spaces it was very, very clear and very clear alignment. In others, we saw improvement beyond what those
Great.
diagnostics said. So it ranged from school to school. But there were some things that were some surprises that we were not expecting. And some of those in the positive, some of them not so much. So we had locations where the progress was hit out of the park, but we didn't necessarily see it in the overall performance. So we're hoping to continue that growth this year, so that some of those schools that made that growth, the progress for our kids, results in changes in overall proficiency. But there's a relationship there
It gave
in a
you the
number of
pattern.
spaces.
That's my point.
Yeah, there was a positive pattern of growth from beginning to the end. Interesting, Eden.
Yeah, when I finally got it, I was very shocked. I
Mm,
was like, that's complete opposite of my child. So
yeah, yeah.
I just found it interesting because we were talking about the 5th grade and 6th grade for a minute. So
Yep. So what we've included in here, guys, is just the space of some guiding questions, problem of practice, our approach to how we're going to attain improvement in District 25 in the space of consistency. This idea of what we call a no-show. Oh, look at that. It's asking me to request access to my own document. That's interesting. So in what we call a no-show tool, where we're really digging into the standards, making sure that we're all aligned with where we want to go. The district data dashboard, that's something that is unique to myself and the district. I can't share that with all of you guys as a community because it doesn't include student names, so I wouldn't be able to share that necessarily. But you guys will, the gist around the data dashboard is something that gives all of our schools kind of soup to nuts. Here's everything you need to know about our learners to help support our decision making. We're going to really dig into the resources, making sure that there are those universal scaffolds available for all of our learners, which you will see inside of our presentation here. Making sure that in our classrooms we have these elements present on a routine basis for our kids. We have those talk opportunities, we have those visual supports, we have our frames for our kids. We're really teaching things in an explicit nature. So those are some routine universal supports that we're going to embed in all of our work, but also to make sure that we are connecting with the appropriate supports for our learners. Now, this is the no-show tool that I was referring to, just to give you guys a little bit of context, where we're really going to spend a lot of time getting to understand the standards that we're teaching, making sure that we know all of the things kids need to know and be able to show inside of meeting the proficiency first standard. And once we're really clear as a collective on what our kids need to know and show, then we can start designing a little bit differently to meet the needs of the learners that we have in front of us. And that's what the ultimate goal is. So this is a long-term type of scenario to improve upon. It's not just a one session where we're now become really great at all of this. It's deepening the work in a nutshell. That's really what we're looking to do this year, is deepen our practice so that we can improve outcomes for our kids. You'll see this space of belonging, consistency, and coherence, things that we're going to be modeling at the district level, things that we're going to ask our teachers to really dig into. It talks about our core programs that we're using that we've already gone through. It's just a little bit more in depth for any of our readers outside of this space. Our L learners, one of the things that we're going to be doing this year is there's two different things. One is a 4-day plan for what we call standalone instruction. So our Ls are required to have 4 periods. Our entering and emerging Ls is required to have 4 periods of what we call standalone instruction, where they're learning some of those foundational skills necessary for them, and including space of building reading, writing, listening, and speaking skills, which is separate from, but still connected to our overall reading program, but more intensive support for our Ls during that time. And we've also been identified to pilot the implementation of a program called English 3D. We have 10 schools that will be participating in this pilot as a district. Training will be available and such, but it will be an expectation that all of our schools that are identified participate in the use of this program. It's something that I'm an advocate for. I've been talking about this for the past couple of years. And that the only reason being is that we have to do all that we can to accelerate the learning of our most needy of learners. And it's simply because they don't have the language yet, I'm most concerned about our kids that come to us in 4th and 5th grade, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, because they haven't had the foundational development like our kids in kindergarten have. It's different. So we want to make sure that we're helping build those skills as much as we possibly can. Tiered support, I mentioned this already, but this is in here for everyone's knowledge, our building leaders and our community alike. And we want to continue to build opportunities to monitor our work, so it's not just that our kids are getting into these areas for improvement, but that we're doing a good job of monitoring. And that's where our district data dashboard will come into play. So we can keep track of who are the kids that are getting those interventions, and are they having the intended impact that we're hoping. And lastly is just to make sure that we're hosting these literacy opportunities for our families, really engaging them, whether it's from the district level or from our schools, connecting on some of those those spaces where our families are part of the experience and not just come in for a workshop. We know that, some folks will get excited about that, but not all. Most of our parents like to come in and be participants with their kids and not separate and apart. So what I do ask, and this was just a brief go over, just for interest of time, I do ask that you guys take a few moments and review this plan. What does it say to you? Is there something else that would be on your mind to include? And then we'll have a space during next month's agenda for feedback from all of you. And after giving that feedback on the reading plan, I'm going to share with you the math plan. I just felt like there's too many things to go over in one session. I'll give you the math plan for you to review what the math plan looks like and give us some feedback on the math plan as well. But I did want to share with you so that you had access to what we're talking about for this school year. And then in context of our goals, and I'm going to run through these very quick because you guys know them already, but you know that we're going to continue to build our reading program, improvement again for all students and student subgroups. We did close that achievement gap this year. I want to close it even more this year. My hope is that we can get to over 70% proficiency here in District 25. That is my goal, that we are able to say that by the end of this year. We are just 5%, a little over 5% away, and I want us to really strive to get there. Want to be able to continue to work on our standalone instruction for our Ls. One of the exciting things is that we are down to only 6% without considering new kids that are coming into this year, but only 6% of our kids are at the entering level. It's a 6% difference from where we had been previous years, which means that the things that we've been working on, use of decodable text, our Heggerty, our foundations work has really been supporting our kids at that beginning level of L entry, and we want to capitalize on that and continue to build. Explicit instruction will be continued part of our expectations across schools for that matter. Here's just what I talked about in terms of no-show and knowledge of resources. Relationship building, conversation starters, mind up moments, and connection before content. I am looking for some feedback here around how frequently we can ask. How frequently can we say, other than saying doing it on a routine? Do we want to say to schools, at least weekly, our teachers should be engaging in conversation starters, so that our kids are having those times and spaces to connect. Do believe that every meeting that we have with adults, we should be doing this, so that it's a common theme across all of our constituent groups. But with the goal here of increasing that student-to-student relationship space within our surveys. What I just said is right here. I'm not going to repeat it. Mathematics, focus on sense making. This really, really important in terms of our instructional shifts. We are fortunate we did add a new person to our team who's going to be primarily connecting to mathematics at the elementary level. So Elizabeth Jones is going to be joining us. So we have two Elizabeths on our math team. One goes by Liz, the other one goes by Beth. So that'll be our differentiator there, but real focused on building our capacity in the district around sense making. Safer College, you already know, goal to increase by 10%. We were under 40% of our families taking advantages across K to 3. I can't tell families what to do or how to choose here, but it is $100 that goes into their account just by activating. So we are going to encourage folks to do that, raise more awareness across our meetings so that more people are involved. And lastly, Civics for All. For this particular goal, we want to make sure that our kids, by the time they leave us in 8th grade, that they earn a point to the Seal for Civic Readiness. Our schools have done a great job of participatory budgeting, Project Soapbox, and take action projects are becoming more and more prevalent across our buildings. We want to continue to emphasize that as a district community. And the last two I already mentioned, family engagement. Here, the one thing that I do want to build on and would love your feedback on is, yes, we're talking about engagement in quarterly events and, parent chats and all the like, but how is that impacting our most needy of families, meaning our L families? Are we getting enough of our English language learner families present and accounted for at these sessions so that they are getting the information necessary to help their kids at home as well? So I do believe that this one needs to be adjusted a little bit to really emphasize a group that we know needs more support, and those are our English language learner families. And chronic absenteeism, you guys know already, is a point of emphasis for us to reduce that by 4%. Okay. So a few things for us to kind of dial back on that I would love in terms of next steps is how frequently do we want to call for this connection before content? Would love your feedback on that as parents, as building leaders, as teachers. What would we say would be a reasonable ask of all of our schools to include these conversation cards in our daily experience? A review of our literacy plan. Any feedback that you want to give would be 2 entry points for you guys going into our next session. And the last thing that I want to mention to you is around by the end of this today to select a date for our SLT training, hopefully in October. And now, having said that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Gus for his portion of the show.
Okay, thank you, Mike. First of all, I want to say it's an honor and a pleasure. I'm grateful to be here, my 21st year supporting District 25. And I want to congratulate you. You were the first district, #1 in Queens North, to complete all of your CEP tasks. You may be one of the first or the first in the city, but I know for sure you were number one in Queens North, so you made me proud. I'm gonna, I could take up the entire meeting with all the items that I have. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna touch upon and just speak to the items. And the only one that I'm gonna show something on is the consolidated plan, because it's kind of a legal requirement that I do this at this time, and then follow up with signatures. So let me begin with the CEP. All of our schools have received feedback from the district, and they should be working with that feedback in finalizing and working on their CEP draft. They have to submit it by October 24th, and the superintendent has to approve them by December 5th, and they get posted like in the past on a rolling basis. So that's the general timeline. And like I said, I'm confident that you'll continue your stellar record and get everything done. If there are any technical issues, people should know by now to email me and copy me an email I plan if they're adding people or they're having any difficulty with anything. And I always advise schools, do keep a backup copy of everything that you do, because technology can be problematic at times. And I've known schools to contact me and said, Gus, this disappeared. So I always say, just anything that's important to you, make a copy. DCP, the DCP feedback, I already put mine in. You're supposed to get the central feedback added to mine by September 26th. And at that point, you have the until November 26th, and that's when your professional learning plan is due. That I think you're going to say something about, right, Mike? The professional learning plan, which I know the district is working on, and the ELA piece that you mentioned, I'm sure is part of that as well. The DCP, according to the timeline I have, is December 26th. So it's, both the CEP and DCP, it's at the end of the current calendar year. And I'll be sending out a DocuSign for the signatures on the DCP once it's finalized, and the superintendent will finalize it, approve it, and they'll start posting it on a rolling basis. So we're coming to the end of the process. There's still some work to do. You'll take the information into account. I'm sure this district team will share it at the next meeting, and you can tweak whatever you have there and work on finalizing the document. So that's CP and DCP. SLT and DLT monthly meetings. Please encourage all schools to put in their information on a monthly basis. I'm putting in the DLT information, but schools have to put it into iPlan. And we get those reports from Central about missing schools, and the same is for PACS. They have to put that in. There's that meeting that takes place at the end of October that needs to be put in. The parent information needs to be put in, and I know that the district team is on top of that. But that's something that has to be followed up on a ongoing basis. I put on the agenda that we should review, and connected to that are the monthly calendars. By the way, you have a whole bunch of documents that are in the district site. I'm not going to go over them. If there are any questions, email the district office, and they'll pass on the questions to me. But the monthly calendars are particularly useful for schools to have. They've been updated. They have a lot of links to resources, and there's one for the DLT and there's one for the SLT. By the way, I'm not sure whether I received an updated list of DLT members. So I'll need that if you have any changes, because what I do is when I send out the DocuSign, I use that updated list and everybody's email to send out the DocuSign on the DCP and on the consolidated plan and any other signatures that I have to collect. So send me, if it's not already done, a updated DLT membership list with all of the current emails so I can act on that. Related to all of this is next month. It's on the agenda. You should review the DLT bylaws and the family engagement policy as well. So if the district team can send those out to you, so you have a month to take a look at them, and if we can get it done next meeting or the meeting afterwards, that would be fine. But that's sort of a routine agenda item that we need to take care of and make any changes that are necessary. Related to all of that is the SLT training. I know that it's on your agenda. You'll pick a date. And in connection with the SLT training, it's a little embarrassing, but it came up at a meeting. We all spoke to Central about it. It's a bit overdue. The review of the 100.11 plan. Remember, the 100.11 plan is the plan for how districts support SLTs, and that relates to the training. It collects, and it's based on a number of sources. One of the main sources is FACE sends out this survey that they sent to every SLT member district-wide, citywide. And then the SLT members answer the survey. We get survey information from Central. That survey information is shared with the DLTs, and that information is valuable to us to see how SLT members feel about certain aspects of their SLT and what kind of training and information, supplementary information is needed. It's overdue. They tell me that they're going to get it done this year. So I'm hoping that we'll hear from FACE, or our central team will take the lead on it and get it done, because it is a state and federal requirement, and it informs our SLT training. So the two are intimately connected on that. So that's basically, I think I covered everything that I had on my general agenda items. The main item that I have to get through of this meeting is the consolidated plan. So before I turn to that and the visuals that I have, any questions on anything that I said so far on all of these other items, folks? No? Okay, then I'll move on to the consolidated plan. Let me see if I can share my screen. If not, it'll be my friend Lewis to the rescue as usual. Let's see.
And Gus, just as you're doing that, I'm going to plop into the chat also, everyone, last year's bylaws. It's also part of Gus's agenda items, one that I'm going to ask that everyone does take an opportunity to review. They were revised last year in October. Would love for us to review them so we can make any revisions and adopt any revisions by next month. So I just put that in the chat too.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, good. I'm getting better and better at this. Okay, so the item that I have here, the first visual is, this is a requirement. Let's see, how can I get rid of this? Oops, I can't see my screen anymore. Okay, what did I do here? Screen sharing. I lost my visual for some reason. Let me see. I was trying to make the screen bigger. Louis, why did I lose it?
Gus, I see you're on the screen, Gus.
Yeah,
I
we see
am?
your shared
Yeah, I can
screen.
see
We
it. You're
see it
sharing the
still.
screen.
I'm not sure
Okay,
what
it's
you.
just me. I don't see it. Okay.
So did you minimize it?
I don't think so. Maybe I
Click
did.
on power. Click on PowerPoint in the bottom.
PowerPoint on the bottom. Okay.
Click on that.
Good. It came back. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so it's these are federal requirement through the state. I know there's a lot of changes in Washington, and we're not sure how long-term they'll impact us with the U.S. Department of Education. But right now, things have not changed dramatically. So there's a federal allocation. It goes to the state. And then New York City is one ELA, and everything gets distributed to the schools in terms of all these federal programs, which are considered supplementary, and they're all coordinated together. Now, what's important to realize is that the funding comes to the city from the state and from the feds, and the city has to prove to the state that a consultation has taken place. And we have received most of the Title I funds, all of the title funds already ahead of time. They prepay us, but the consolidated plan, which is the item that I'm going to talk about today, and I go over this routinely every year, is a document. It's a citywide document which tells the state, and through the state, the federal government, of what we're doing. What is the city doing with all of these funds? And it's a lengthy document. All the different departments at Central contribute to it. And it has information about target districts and improvement. And District 25 is identified for a school that's not totally under your jurisdiction, but it has citywide improvement plans in there as well. So it relates to everybody and strategic plans. And it's the CONAP, that's what we call it for short, is primarily a fiscal document. And it contains programmatic information as well. So the overview that I'm going to go over with you is it gives you all of the regulations, and this is a good visual. This is the out of the slides, this is the best one, and it gives you the description of each program, like the document itself. And then what is particularly useful is you see how in this column here, there are these blue SAMs. All funding are distributed to schools by school allocation memorandum. And all of them are publicly available. They all have numbers. So if you want to know about Title I, you go to SAM 11. If you want to know about neglected and delinquent education funding, you go to SAM 47. Effective instructions, ELS, SAM 14 and 51. Academic enrichment is that SAM. And when you click on these things, click on, it takes you to this document. And these documents, folks, are very detailed. They give you all of the information. They give you the county cutoffs. It's, you see, it's all 60%. This time around, it's the same for everybody. And on the very bottom, there are these spreadsheets, and they're all pretty much the same. Let's see. Yeah, and the spreadsheet gives you all of the different funding for every single school in the system. So, and the criteria and what it's based on. So you can look that up for each category by just clicking on these links. And the same links are also in the overview document that I'm going to go over in a minute. So let me get rid of this. It's hopefully. Okay, so I got it back, right? So that's that document, which hopefully you can still see. Uh, and then the document itself, the consolidated plan, the overview, is this one here. Can you everybody see this one?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So this is a table of contents to the consolidated plan itself, which usually runs over 100 pages. Now, the reason why we don't give you the document itself, and I used to work on this document with Central, so I'm fairly familiar with it, is that we send it to State Ed. It's been sent to State Ed now, and State Ed goes over it, and then they come back with a whole bunch of questions on each section of it. So you have the actual application, the application, the document numbers here, and eventually, when it's finalized, it becomes publicly available. But right now, it's a draft. So what we do is we go over, and I'm not going to belabor this. Uh, 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 but we go over the various sections, and you see those same blue links that are here. So Title I is the largest amount of money that schools receive in terms of these programs. And if you go to the SAM, you can see how much any individual school receives. And it's based on those family income forms as to whether the school meets the poverty rate and gets the funding. And in that section, we describe in the consolidated plan how schools use that funding. And the consolidated plan relates directly, there's alignment with the DCEP for all schools and the CEPs. So it's built upwards with the central input. So then you have the program information, you have budget narratives, you have neglected and delinquent youth, you have Title II, you have the teacher recruiting and professional development and early class size reduction, which is describing those SAMs. And we also give an overview of Title III. Remember, that's also part of the CEP. You need 30 Ls to qualify or more to qualify for that money. And there's a plan that goes into iPlan as to what's done with that money. So there are these bullets that describe what central information is being provided to the state ed department about the kinds of things that schools and districts are doing with those funds. Title III is immigrant funds, and that's in SAM 14. It's different than the L money, and that varies from year to year based on the number of immigrants coming into particular schools. I've been contacted by schools in the past, and they say, Gus, I got that money last year, but I didn't get it this year. What's going on? And it's a function of the data and how many new immigrant came into your school, and which is recorded in ATS by the codes that are put in, and that's what they base that money on. And it's all described in the SAM. And what is done with that money and other college and career initiatives are part of that, and parental engagement, etc., is part of that as well, is described in the SAM. Also, something that's not well known is that we also have to describe to state ed how we're reaching out to private and parochial schools and charter schools within our geographic district. And by the way, high schools are, of course, included in all of this as well. So when I did this, we actually had to collect information about meetings, and there's a central office that sponsors and holds meetings in every borough and related to every district for private parochial schools and charter schools, and then records that information, and that information then gets put into the consolidated plan as well. And then there are summaries of all this fiscal information. There are lots of different spreadsheets, Excel sheets that describe the amount of funding that the district, meaning New York City, gets as a whole, which is the latter part of the document. And it's now done all electronically, but in the past, when we printed it out, it was actually the largest amount in terms of numbers of pages. Now it's all done electronically with databases. So that is it's a fiscal document. It describes all of the strategies and funding that the city gets. What the state is very keen on is proving to the federal government and the city to prove to the state that the public has been consulted in terms of the development of this document at the community level. Now, all of you represent constituencies. So your signature on the form, and I'm not showing you the form, you'll get it in a DocuSign email from me. It's a state form. Those of you who are veterans have seen it before. It's not an approval form, ladies and gentlemen. What it is it's a form that means that you've been consulted. And the consultation is Gus talking to you about all of this and the ability to ask any questions. So if you have any questions or concerns about any part of this, and I've relayed those questions to Central in the past, and we've gotten some input, and actually changes have made based on some input in the past on the consolidated plan and that other central documents that we share with our DLTs. So at some point in this week and the next, you're going to be getting a DocuSign email from me, which you need to answer within a certain period of time, and put down the constituency that you represent. Now, what Central does, your name doesn't go in, but the category goes in. What Central does, it takes these DocuSign that I have to submit into a database, and it takes all the different categories. Let's say you represent parents, or you represent UFT or CSA, and it puts the categories together citywide. And so the state can see that X number of individuals have fulfilled that particular category. And we try to have as many categories there as possible. So the document, the DocuSign document for the consolidated plan goes to as many DLT members as possible. The core members of the DLT, but additional members as well. If there are CBOs that occasionally participate, or others that occasionally participate. In District 26, for example, I have a number of city council folks and sometimes congressional and state representatives that attend their DLT. And so I send it to them, and they are able to provide that category of a signature as well. So I think I've effectively ended my presentation. I don't want to belabor things and go on and on. Any questions or comments on this consolidated plan piece that I've explained to you, and that at some point you'll see as a document, but you have this, you have the PowerPoint, and if you have any questions about particular items, go to the SAMs. All of the information now is very transparent and publicly available to the penny. Questions, folks? Okay, if we don't have any, then I'll stop sharing.
All right, thanks so much, Gus.
Okay.
The one thing that Gus did call out that I think is important for us all to stay connected on, and if we have some volunteers and for the DLT in terms of the professional learning plan development. So a couple of things that we've done here at the district office, we've done outreach to our teachers in the form of a survey for those that would be interested in assuming a leadership role. They will be part of a conversation that we do have with them just around PL for the district. We also surveyed our teachers at the very beginning of the year to see what kind of PL that they would like. All will kind of go in concert with giving some recommendations for the DLT to review. We're also going to be doing something similar with the principals. We've kind of surveyed to see who would be interested in serving on the principal PL team. Again, all that information will come back to the DLT. But if any of our DLT members would like to sit on that, kind of maybe a subcommittee prior to joining our DLT in the mornings when we have them, to kind of review and approve, that would be awesome. So if you're interested, just put yourself in the chat. Thank you, Eden. That's great. Rob, you might have to do that by default as the as the CSA rep, and Lamar as well. If you're okay with doing that, that would be awesome, just to kind of summarize what we've learned from our constituents and PL for the year. I don't think we'll have to do it every meeting, but certainly at the beginning of the year to solidify everything would be great. And I'm going to turn this over to Eduardo to share a little bit about the high school superintendent's report.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Okay, let me share my screen. Screen 2. There we go. Share. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
You're good.
All right. Greetings from Dr. Tu, Superintendent of Queens North. So we're going to start this year with aligning our goals with so aligning our district goals. This year we also received the key to align our district goals. So achievement for all learners, literally across disciplines, interventions that are targeted and tiered using MAP. Also graduation pathways aligned to college and career readiness, and nurturing safe, supportive schools through MTSS. This is our ISS compliance data, our glows and grows. This data is as of May 16, 2025, and this is all our 26 schools across the board, and the data is there for services that were rendered to our special education population. Here we have our 2025 graduation rate data. It's a 1.2% increase from school year 23. And looking ahead, we have looking ahead for 2026, we'll be using the June 2025 Regents data to plan targeted supports. Also tracking scientific literacy, leveraging science APs, PLCs, and the Queens District Fellow to build capacity, supporting implementation and curricula and new NYSE investigations. This is how we are planning to team up progress monitoring, coaching, and adjusting. These are the 4 key elements to support. We also want to highlight one of our District 25 high schools, John Bowen High School. They've been doing a great work with our student population there. Let's see. Looking forward to the next school year with more rigorous coaching in math, algebra, expanding the bilingual work that we do across content. Now I'm going to show you our new teacher orientation, which happened at the Flushing High School campus. This was back on the 27th. We welcome over 100 new teachers, and we all have they all receive a swag bag. These bags I scour at Materials for the Arts. By the way, I always like to make our parent coordinators aware of this wonderful resource, because that 1% is never enough when it comes to the money that can be used for the events. So anything from parent related to across the district events. So I was lucky enough to scour these bags, and we filled them up with coffee tumblers and other goodies that the other schools share with us. So these are the bags, and this was our event at Flushing High School. Also, we had class of 2025. We had graduation at Francis Lewis High School, and I was the official photographer for the event. This is something that I always love sharing with the families, sharing student success, and everyone got their picture taken with the superintendent while they received their high school diploma. So again, I was the official photographer for the event. And that's all the high school updates I have for today. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Eduardo. And folks, you can see the alignment there too, and just in terms of this targeted subgroups that are coming from the high schools, similar to that of District 25 in terms of Ls and students with IEPs. Really important. And, while our acronyms might be a little bit different, the context of our expectations is similar between the high school superintendent and D25. So thank you for sharing that. We do not currently have a President's Council president, so we will not have a report from the President's Council president for our D25 community schools, but we will have that for our high school president for parents president for high schools. We'll share.
Okay.
Anything, Shernette?
Tongue twisters.
Yeah.
Too many presidents. Hi, everyone. So once again, we've been having a great morning. So good morning again. For those who don't know, I am Shernette Walters, the president of the Queens High School President's Council. I don't know if stumble. So Michael was like, yay.
No, thank you. You got it a heck of a lot better than I did just now.
I said it slow, right? So on behalf of the Queens High School President's Council, we're excited and all send our greetings to everyone, and we're very much looking forward to a year of productive collaboration with District 25. We're hitting the ground running, of course, always, to prepare for a new school year. And some of the things we want to highlight, first, our first meeting will be next Monday, September 15th, and it's one of our biggest meetings we're going to have. Well, not really. We're going to hone in on what's on everyone's mind right now, the cell phone ban. So we will be having the DOE Senior Executive Director for Policy and Advocacy that's been going around with her roadshow. And she felt I was one of the two parents selected to meet with our governor, and our chancellor in July, for their rollout for the cell phone official working group.
All right, Shernette.
Yeah, I got a call. I thought it was a prank, by the way, from her office. And I hung up and I'm like, I do not like the governor. I didn't say that out loud. And it was election season. I'm like, why do they always telemarket us around elections? So I hung up 3 times. And the 4th time, the person said, is this Shernette Walters from President's Council? I'm like, oh, crap. Is this a real call from the governor's office? And I'm like, yeah, you got selected. So blah, blah, blah. But it was interesting. It was a press release thing she did, junket, with it was 9 of us, I think, 10 of us, and then 2 parents. So that was interesting. So we've been ordered to make sure parents and our families are getting the right information So they're gonna, as a payback favor, come to our meeting to present. So we're inviting everybody and anyone to come. I know I sent out the invite to your group this morning as well. So you could share it out. And she'll be presenting the A through Z's of guide to support our schools in this transition. We will also have New York State Assemblywoman Alicia Heidemann. She's the chair of the Higher Education Committee at our meeting to discuss what's going on upstate, with anything to do with education. And her presence underscores the importance of our work. Looking ahead, we have a few initiatives that we're going to be kickstarting, and we're thrilled to be partnering once again with the Queens Bar President's Office to do our second college fair. It's officially 9 through 12, but I always tell people I started in grade 7 looking at colleges. So, and I'm in grade 10, so you're never too early to start. It will be hosted by John Bound High School on Thursday, October 9th, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. We have over 75 institutions that I personally called myself. The only school that is hiding from me right now is Princeton, and I'm still holding on that they'll say yes. But we have schools along the East Coast and the tri-state area coming to our fair. And in support of our students, we are also doing a 3-part college essay writing supplemental personal statement workshop. And in July, we had 135 families show up and to help support seniors with the Common Apps and the application. We whittled it down to 38 kids that actually followed up, and we're going to be doing one-on-one sessions with them next Wednesday. And we had a writing consultant with the National Writing College Association. She's doing it for free. And
oh, that's amazing.
yeah, it was some serious negotiations. Like, you got to do some philanthropy. We don't have $5,000 per student, and our kids are marginalized, and we don't get the opportunity to be competitive at that level, to have our essays reviewed, and given a chance to compete with the, one school getting 60,000 applications, but our essay wasn't as rigorous and thoughtful as theirs. So that's going to happen. And we're embarking on a vaping initiative as well with Queen's Hospital. Apparently, it's becoming a serious problem that they're coming into the hospitals now as young as 3rd grade, 4th grade, which was very shocking to me. And I literally fell out of the screen. And they've asked for partnering with schools because they're concerned that even though some of it may be cultural, like with the hookah and stuff like that, they're seeing it's affecting memory, health, lungs. And we had a school actually volunteer PS 140 to be our beta school. So the hospital was very happy about that. So we're going to send out surveys to the students and their families to see if they're aware that 3rd graders and 4th graders are coming to school and vaping. So we're hoping to expand it to all of Queens. So just make it like a one-off, come into the classroom one time and do like you did your duty as a DOE and staff to say, this is about vaping, and then that's it. We have a problem, and the hospitals are very concerned that it's not being thoughtfully addressed. So that's what we're doing with them. And lastly, we are pleased to share that we have received the DCEP for Queens North, and I went through all 186 pages and provided some feedback, and we're looking forward with working with the stakeholders with the review process to support its finalization. And yeah, thank you for the continued partnership, and I'm looking forward to a successful year for you guys and the support that we get from District 25 and Queens North as a whole.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeanette. I appreciate you sharing the things that are upcoming for high schools, including the notion of a vaping initiative. The idea that we have 3rd and 4th graders that are engaging in that is certainly concerning. Sometimes it's the things that you wouldn't think would be possible are very possible and happening. So thank you for sharing all of that.
Is it possible? The hospital has asked if they could come and do presentations to the DLTs to have you guys understand, and like I can't explain. It's like the chief of oncology. She's the one spearheading it. So I told her I forgot.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Okay.
can. Yeah, just let
Okay.
me know and we'll add it to one of the agendas. That's something that we
Okay.
can do and decide on as a collective group. Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Eden, CEC report.
Sure. So our next meeting is this Wednesday, the 10th. At this meeting, we should finally have a full council. One person, we are in process of trying to figure out what our next steps are going to be because they signed their oath 2 months, 3 months late, basically. So we did warn them they were possibly going to be removed from the council, but we are going to hear from them and see what that decision is. At this meeting, we are also having the special ed presentation, as well as also a group called Fun and Function that's coming to talk about different sensory things that they could do for schools, and they're one of the vendors through the DOE. I was trying to get the Nest and Horizon people to come speak. They did not get back to me in regards to that, so hopefully in the future I'll get that. But other than that, we're really going to be doing our school assignments, our budget finally, and really continued focus on everything with the wellness initiative as well. But we have a really good group this year and would love to see numbers increase at our meetings, whether virtual or in person. So any way to spread the word, get it out there, it's appreciated.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Eden. And yeah, the space around special education, and this is a direct connector to just the work that we do here in collaboration with the CEC, is making sure that our families know what the expectations are when they may deem their child in need of an evaluation, or what are their rights as parents. These are really good sessions. So it turned out from one session with CEC, now we do a series of them at the district level as well because of that need. So, thanks to the CEC for that continued emphasis on this. Mr. Marino, CSA.
Hey everybody, yeah, not too much. Just we're all organizing around the cell phone policy as well. A lot of guidance from the district and the city over the summer, so we were prepared. And for those of us who haven't received the necessary materials, we all have secondary plans in play. That seems to be working out great. Also, it was a good opportunity today to look at that data again, but as you know, principals and APs have been looking at that data since it has become available, and we are putting together MTS class plans now as soon as possible, and that seems to go off to a very good start as well.
Yeah, and huge shout out to our building leaders. That it's folks don't really know what it is to be a principal today or an assistant principal today. It is a very difficult job, and so blessed that we have an amazing group here in the district to do the work that they do, so that our kids are better for it. So huge shout out to them for the work that they do every day. I know Lamar had to hop off, so Monique, I'm not sure if you're still there, but if you have anything that you'd like to share, please feel free.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm here.
Hi.
I've been listening just behind the scenes. I didn't want to interrupt too much because I came in a little late. So I apologize, but thank you. So I'm going to be continuing my site visits to schools. One of the things I might be revisiting schools that I've already seen is because we are looking at bulletin boards. The local 372, that's part of every single contract under local 372 DC 37. And so we've been tasked as union reps to look for the union bulletin boards. That is something that's mandated as per the contract. There should be one in the kitchen for the kitchen staff. There should be one in the school area for DC 37 members to view. So just letting you know, those are things that we're going to be looking for. If we don't see them, we're going to be requesting them from the principal. I do know that some of the kitchens have been redone in the district. And I know that with speaking with some of the school food staff, custodians don't want to drill into the walls, which I understand, but we got to get those bulletin boards up there because they are contractual. And if they're not up, then we are mandated to file grievances on the violation of the contract for not having the bulletin boards up. So if anybody has any questions about that, we can discuss it at another time. Dr. Mike, I don't want to take up too much time. We also have posters that DC 37 has created. They have a QR code on them so that members can easily scan the QR code so that they can get information directly from DC 37 as far as their health and security benefits and any other information that they have as far as being a member of DC 37. It also will include an area for shop steward, if you have a shop steward in your building. It will also include an area for the DC 37 rep, which is myself. I went over that. Also, district meetings, the local 372 will be going back to district meetings. That's part of their the rules that they have. That's what they follow. That's part of their the things. I'm sorry, I'm just like at a loss for words right now. It's right at the tip
No,
of my
you're
tongue.
good. You're good, Monique.
It's right at the tip of my tongue. We'll have 2 in the fall, 2 in the spring. They'll probably happen like between from 4 to 5:30. Try to get all the members to come out. It's something they did before COVID, but due to COVID, it's something that they put on a pause, and now we have to get back to that. Otherwise, they'd be in violation of their bylaws. That's what I wanted to say, of their bylaws. So if there are any schools interested in hosting a fall or a spring, please let me know so that I can complete the application for the building usage and we can get a date and time started, actually advertised to all the members. Also, the Office of Food and Nutrition Services, in the process of sending it. Is it to Lewis? Is that would be okay if I sent it to Lewis? There are 2 flyers, so if families are interested in being interested in working or at least getting their foot in the door as a Department of Education employee. They are doing hiring halls again. This would be a great time for families to get in, parents in the area, because as far as the 2026 school year, the monies that are allocated were kept at the amount they were allocated for. Now, with the 2026, 2027 school year, we're not sure where those cuts are going to come in. So if anyone is really looking for work, now's the time to hop on and get interviewed and come into the school system. Also, I just wanted to mention, I do know with class sizes, I was contacted from all the districts that I cover, where parent coordinators might be put in areas that put them at a health and safety risk. So I will be looking for where they've been relocated, checking to make sure there's ventilation, that there's a window, that it meets the health and safety guidelines for DC 37 members. Also, that also includes SAPIS. It also includes school aides, any DC 37 members that have been relocated within the school building to make space for classrooms or administrators or guidance counselors. We just want to make sure that those rooms are up to code and that they're in a healthy environment. And just to let you know, just full transparency, that if it's not, Dr. Mike, I guess we could talk about how you want me to approach it, what you think is the best, because I know you like to know what's going on in your district. So I could either have conversation with the principal, I could have a conversation with you, or we can have conversations together to see how we can address any potential
Well, I
health
mean,
and safety.
any health and safety thing, certainly, I would have a conversation with the building leader first. Our folks are really good at addressing things like that. And if things unresolved, certainly let me know.
Right.
I think just in fairness to the principal, rather than, coming directly to me and then I have to speak to them when they may not be aware. I don't know if is the best case scenario. So I think just in fairness to them, if there's something, you just touch base with them first, and then if there's a way that we come up with some kind of an agreeable solution, then it's all the better than having to come and share that with me and then to them. But hopefully we don't run into too many of those issues.
And then just lastly, just a little concern for the parent coordinators who have been placed in the main office. It does not give them a secure private space to speak with families. Also, I was on the last parent coordinator meeting in June, and a lot of them were having difficulty either listening or being able to participate in conversation because they did not have a space. So I'm not sure if parent coordinators being in the main office is really where they should be. Parent coordinators should have a space where they could speak to families privately, where they can have phone conversations, where they're not interrupted, so that families, I know we went through this when I was a parent coordinator, so that they feel welcomed, right? And sometimes parents are coming in with some serious concerns, not so much with school, it could be personal and private, but maybe we can discuss that, revisit it. Again, approach it with the principal, not a problem. I can do that first step and then follow up with you if we don't see any changes being made to accommodate the families, not just the parent coordinator. So that's just a concern of mine, and making sure that principals are utilizing the parent coordinators for what they were hired for, which is parent engagement, parent outreach, the liaison between the school community and the parent community, and then being able to do their job for what they were hired for, and not being utilized as, you know, translators, interpreters. And this is all over the city. There's not just District 25. So when we go into meetings, this is what all the union reps are bringing up at the DLT, is just a concern there that we want to make sure that they are in a space where they can do what they were hired to do. And that's about it. That's my report. Thank you so much. Anybody has any questions, feel free
Yeah,
to
thanks,
reach out.
Monique. And listen, I think the only one part that I would say that's important, just in terms of PCs, is, you know, if they happen to be bilingual or multilingual, you know, that is a space of supporting families, especially if that's what it is that they do need. So that part I do think is something that will continue to happen. If I have a PC that speaks Spanish and I have a parent that needs something in Spanish, yes, I'm going to call on that person to do that. So that's the only part that I would push back on a little
Oh,
bit.
no, I just think you
But yeah,
misunderstand what I was saying.
yeah.
No, what I'm stating is that they, there is an intent, especially with what I know with principals, and I understand my community. I live in Flushing. I understand it was Hispanic, then it's been Mandarin speaking. Now it's some areas are back to Spanish speaking. Parent coordinators are fully aware that in order to assist families, if they speak their language, they're going to speak their language to them, because that's the only way you're going to be able to communicate and make them feel welcome. What I'm stating to you is having teachers and staff utilize them as translators, because that's not what they're trained to do, especially when it comes to some specific interventions, specific meetings that have to do with possible behavior or, you know, any types of investigation, things like that. They should not be in the main office answering phones. They should be receiving the calls from the main office when a family calls to speak to them, and they should be able to speak to that family in a setting that is private and respectful of the parents' privacy.
Yeah, no, totally
So that's
understand that
it.
point.
It's I
I'm just,
understand why people get
yeah.
hired. I would never ever say don't translate. Parent coordinators will translate if you ask them to translate. But what I'm saying is that can't, you understand, translation and
No, I
interpretation goes very
noted what you
deep. Yeah.
noted what you said. I'm just making sure that there's a clarifier there, because those two things are not the same. You know, that is why we do have PCs that are capable of communicating with the family that might need it. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so that's going to bring us around the space of getting to a point of closure. There's just a couple of things that I want to kind of throw out there at everyone, and that is a potential date for our SLT training. I think that October might be a little bit too soon, because our October date is October 6th. Thinking we might need a little bit more time just for that next meeting to kind of organize ourselves before we do have any larger group meeting. What does everyone think? Anyone have any feedback on that in terms of date, maybe beginning of November?
I agree with that. November. It's
Beginning
crazy.
November, Rob?
Yeah, the next few weeks are a little nuts.
So I think the first one that is our meeting, our DLT meeting, is on November the 3rd. We try to kind of coordinate it, at least in past practice, with around when the DLT meeting would be. What do we think around that time, guys? Does that sound like something that's doable? Will be Monday the 3rd. Any feedback? Feeling good.
Elections Day is the next day. I don't think that
Good.
matters, right?
No, I mean, I feel like it might be even a
Yeah.
decent day just for at least the DLT. We don't, I mean, there's still operations the next day, but it's not with,
Right.
with welcoming kids back into the building. Maybe that's a good day. I don't know.
Well,
Yep.
we have elections the next day, so.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying in terms of the folks that would
Yeah.
be kind of facilitating, it's not, they're not also then welcoming kids in the next day to worry about that during the beginning of the week. I mean, I think there's always something happening, but any other dates in November early that you would recommend? Anyone? I mean, I'm open to whatever you guys think. All right, we want to put a tentative November 3rd. Put a November 3rd for now. Yes, all right. So tentative November 3rd, SLT training. And next month we'll organize what we're going to do. SLT training. Tentative date. And this we had said we wanted to do in person, yes?
I think we said we wanted to try.
In person, right? Okay, and I will find a school in the interim. And so for the next meeting, if we could all just have some thoughts around what we would like to get reviewed. I will share last year's agenda with everyone so that you can all look at it. Things that we might want to adjust. That'll be kind of a follow-up to this meeting. Things that we might want to adjust, add. I think there are certain things like just even organizing the meeting. We need to make sure that is out there so that our agenda are consistent across the district. Some fall more into the lines of, kind of the what are we going to do's around here, and not necessarily around the nuts and bolts of functioning as an SLT. So there are a couple of thoughts that I have that I'd like to include, and we'll share them with you as well. But I'll give you all the presentations that we did last year, those that we want to keep, those that we want to adjust. And then those of you that are interested in doing any of the components, if you want to stay with the one that you did last year, that would be great too. And then we'll organize accordingly next month, which is on October. It's on October 6th is our next meeting date. Okay, I think we are all good with that. Anyone, we have consensus to bring the meeting to, oh, the last thing, here it is, sorry. Do we have anyone that is interested in becoming the chairperson for our DLT moving forward? As I said, I have no problem doing it if there is no one else that is interested. No takers, just smiles like you're out of your mind if you think I'm chairing this too, Mike. All right, I'll be happy to continue chairing if someone so chooses or has the interest moving forward. Please feel free to let me know, but I'll be happy to continue moving forward in this role. All right, guys. I thank you very much. Consensus to bring the meeting to a close. I saw Rob, thumbs up. Sharnette, thank you. Eden, Eduardo, thank you. Gus. All right, guys. Everyone enjoy your day. Thanks so much for being here. Bye all.
Bye-bye.
Dr. Mike, can you stay for 1 second?